Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Ask Pastor Keith. Pastor Keith, how are you doing today?
Doing fine, thank
Good,
you.
good. So Pastor Keith, we have a question today, and our question is: does God condemn Christians who commit suicide?
Yeah, that's a very serious question, and it's not a simple answer to that because we don't know what exactly is happening in that person's mind and how God looks at it. Generally speaking, suicide is murder of self. It's a murder, and it is a last rebellion, and therefore a Bible condemns it. However, there are special cases, people with a mental illness or heavily sedated with a medication, that they are not themselves fully and make a very unfortunate decision. And those things do happen time to time. And I'm sure Bible says, while the wicked perish, God knows how to deliver the righteous. And I think that applies to situations like that. I think more common questions right now is euthanasia in the state like California and other more progressive states have this end of life decision, which in their own mind is a safety checks in there, but it's never good enough. It's very subjective, once again, decision. So, two or three specialist doctors agree that this person doesn't have more than 6 months to live. That person can choose to ask for assisted suicide. That's euthanasia. That there are a couple of problems with that. That even in our church, there are people, the specialist doctors say you got only 3 months to live, and they live way beyond several years. During those times, they have reconciliation, they restore their faith, and they're growing, and all that kind of things can happen. So that diagnosis, even though 2 or 3 people, could be wrong. And the number two is that there are people who are in need to control things all the time, including the manner which they die, and those people opt for that, and that's not right. That's a suicide. But there are cases that the person is declining fast, and they're under constant pain that's beyond pain relief, morphines and the CBD products, and nothing works, like cancer in the bone and things like that. And especially having to do with the older and frail, seniors or even little babies. It's very difficult to watch. And everybody's the pain tolerance is different, and some people can endure that heroically, and they have demonstrated heroic faith. We praise the Lord for that. But not everybody has that type of faith or that type of pain tolerance. So once again, this is very subjective. Who knows what goes in that person's mind and heart? And God only knows. And once again, I say we know God will deliver the righteous. And so in those specific cases, very special cases, I think God will show mercy. So generally speaking, suicide as a Christian is incomparable. And, our society is overly therapeutic, overly medicated. We cannot stand any type of pain. That does not justify our decisions. There are some things that we have to stand, and our forefathers in our faith, they stood martyr and torture and things like that. But we know even through that history, there are believers who couldn't stand for it, and things like that. So we understand. So generally speaking, yes, it is sin. Some people, it's just a last rebellious act against God, and they make that decision with a clear mind. Some people are desperate, hopeless, and depressed, which is opposite to faith. And those are sinful acts. But there are special cases that I'm sure God has mercy on. And therefore, we cannot just go around and say blanket statement. And especially those people who lost loved ones through that, we cannot have that kind of attitude, but be more understanding in that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, that's a really good answer. And I really hope that, for our viewers who are viewing at home, that this response can give you hope and also really help you in understanding in this area. So thank you so much for
All right.
answering, Pastor Keith. Yeah. Well, that wraps up this episode of Ask Pastor Keith. Tune in to next week's episode of Ask Pastor Keith. Bye, everyone.